Welcome to day 6 of Rambling and Wrenching. I got a last minute call from my little brother that he needs some help on a job that's about 3 hours away from me and through a snowstorm, but when family calls, you gotta go help, there's no question. So my little brother installs fancy blinds and shades in fancy houses, so I'm not sure how the dirty white get-up's gonna go. But like I said, family calls, you gotta answer. Should be a good one. Let's hit it. So it turns out that the snow I was thinking we were going to be driving through ended up just being rain. The highest point that I went was literally just below snow line. So it worked out really good. But before I get cracking here, I wanted to touch on a point that I mentioned in yesterday's video. I've been thinking about it since I said it. It was at the very beginning of the video, and I mentioned we're doing rambling, but not the type of rambling I like to do, which was basically like, yeah, we're out and about and we're doing the things that we have to do, but we're not on an adventure. And it reminds me of this quote it was from a cartoon, but it taught me so much about myself, and it taught me so much about why I make some of the decisions I make around certain projects, or why I put certain projects off. And I just been thinking about it since I said it. So I wanted to share that here before we get cracking today on this next project. And it goes something like, the problem with repairing, maintaining, and cleaning is that it's not an adventure. You can't do it so wrong that you might die. It's just work. And it was so crazy hearing that for the first time, because this light bulb went off in my head and I'm like, oh, that's the stumbling block that I have to doing some of the things that I do. Now, it's not perfect for the way that I feel about things. I actually really love working on things, and I enjoy maintaining things, to a level. But for me, it's the getting the things ready. For me, it's the going to run the errands. It's making the list to go buy the supplies. That is the thing that hangs me up the most. And it's hilarious because once you crack the seal and you just slog through that part of it, then you get the best part of it, which is actually doing the thing. And then, depending on what the project is, sometimes doing the thing can be a stumbling block because it might feel big or it might feel too much. But then my mind goes back to that quote, right? So as I'm doing those types of things in my life, I try to find ways to make it feel more like an adventure. I know it's silly, but it's just like a little brain hack that I use in pushing through that feeling that I can't overcome whatever obstacles get in front of me to actually accomplish the goals that I want to accomplish. And I don't know, for whatever reason, that just stuck in my brain, and I did the edit last night and it stuck in my brain then. So I figure, hey man, we're doing a video a day. I might as well share it here. I think my little brother's just about to pull up, so let's see what this next job's about. All right, my brother's here. I don't think he knows the camera's on, but let's go say hi. You guys have seen him on the channel before. Oh, hi, guy.
What's up, G?
Hey, look what I got you.
Oh, breakfast of champions.
So I picked up a bunch of those yesterday at Winco. You guys saw in the last video that I did. They weren't for me. They were for everybody that I love, because that's what we grew up on.
Sugar.
Yeah, that's right. All right, what are we cracking on, man?
Curtain tracks and curtains.
Curtain tracks and curtains. Oh, hey, that saw looks familiar.
Hey.
All right, I'm gonna get the skinny and then show you guys what we're working on. So, like I mentioned before, I got here, I wasn't sure how the white coveralls were gonna play, because this is a very nice neighborhood, very fancy job. I was talking to my brother about it, and he's like, dude, it probably doesn't matter. But I guess the job is kind of delayed, and so I just don't want to add to any weirdness or add to anything that might make my brother or my brother's company not be represented very well. So we're not going to go full weirdo today. We did yesterday in town, and I got a lot of looks. That's the only reason I even thought about it. And these coveralls are getting pretty beat up. So hopefully you will forgive not having coveralls so I can help my little brother out. But we'll be right back in them as soon as the job's done. Here's our loadout for the work that we're going to be doing today. I think that we're going to have to probably run pretty fast on this job. So I might try to just strap the camera to my head, or I might try to grab a couple clips and then narrate the thing. We'll see how it goes, but I'm going to do my best. And do my best I did. This job ended up being way bigger than I was anticipating, bigger than even my brother was anticipating. This apparently was a whole new system for him and his company, and so we just had to dive in and figure it out. That's why he called me, because he can make things plumb level and straight and all of that, but there were a lot of factors to consider. I've got some specialty tools, like my beautiful 1505, and of course, My brother had his 1505 as well. We used the heck out of those things. Those are great little knives. So once we got there, we started with the first room, and it was really just a lot of figuring. We basically were just like, okay, how do we get level across the room? What's level when it comes to the floor? Exactly what is our spacing for our brackets? Because every one of these was a custom fitment. And so there was just a lot of like, let's get things sized up, let's figure out what it all looks like, and then let's go on to the next thing. And there were also a couple of challenges. Just a quick note, as a carpenter, just as a tradesman in general, you experience a lot of things that like the owner or that the people you're doing the work for may not. But there's also like doing a good job. And I don't know exactly why the person made this decision, but this piece here is nowhere near level. And they even shimmed it. Like I don't know what's going on there. Obviously I didn't do the original work. I'm not harshing this guy's steez, but like, man, it's pretty bad. I mean, the owner would never know, but the next guy that has to work on it does. So if you're gonna do something, do it well. It was pretty cool because the curtains that went in most of the main floor were actually custom made by a gal at Logan's company, and they're made of a really, really nice wool. And that was another really interesting thing with this job, was each of these curtains fell a different way. So figuring out what the height was or wasn't going to be was honestly a huge challenge. But the system that they run on was actually really interesting. So we got both of them hung. It's actually really cool. I didn't know this was a thing, but this is actually battery powered back up in there. I can't show you. It's actually battery powered behind here, right there. So yeah, you just run it that way. It's got a little remote, and look, can't you tug on it and it will like close too?
Yeah, so if you tug on it.
Dude. A little out of my tax bracket, but still pretty cool. I kind of think the battery on the motor is a little silly. I love how tucked away it is, and I love how unobtrusive it is, not having to get it plugged in. And this was an existing home, so not having to like run wires to that thing. But man, like just the idea that you're gonna have to manage another battery, another charging solution in your life. I don't know, dude. Like for your blinds. Maybe it lasts really long. I didn't get the specs on it. I should have. But I don't know. I was really hesitant about that whole idea in general. And then, yeah, just as you can see here, a ton of layout, a ton of measuring, a ton of rechecking. Moving on to the great room, which was really cool. I mean, just huge windows, tons of light. I mean, the whole house was just a really neat build. To be honest, it was done really classy. It was done really well. I really enjoyed it. A lot of times, fancy homes can not be done very well, but this one was done really, really well. And again, with the wool curtains. Now, this rail we actually had to reset. We weren't happy with the way initially that it was sitting on the ground, and the ground itself had a little slope to it, which I wouldn't blame that on any builder. Nothing is ever perfectly straight. Nothing is ever perfectly level. If you've built anything, or especially if you've remodeled anything, you know that. You can be the best carpenter in the world and let that building sit for 5 years, and I guarantee it's not going to be perfect 5 years from the time that you built it. And this building was a little bit older than 5 years old. My brother's a lot like me, and he tends to work on his own and kind of figure things out on his own. It's really hard for him to ask for help sometimes. Luckily, me and him are good at asking each other for help, which is really nice. But that being said, he really doesn't plan on there being a second helper. And so he only had one 6-foot ladder, and we were installing some really tall stuff. So that means that I had to work a lot off of the special step of the ladder, which is the do not step. The do not step of the ladder really is a government psyop. It's preventing you from reaching your true potential. I'm just kidding. Don't use that ever. We should have got another correct ladder. But the reality is, like I mentioned at the very beginning of this thing, we were really tight for time, and we had to keep moving. The other note with my brother not being used to working with other people and how tight the time was for us to get this job done with all of the new things that we had to learn at the same time was that we didn't have time for lunch. I didn't think to bring lunch. Of course, my brother packed some lunch for himself, so I was kind of left in the wind. So things are moving a little bit slower than anticipated, but good movement. But we're not thinking we have time for lunch, so it's a real good thing. I brought those Christmas cakes. After the great room, we had a couple rooms upstairs as well. And again, every single one of these was a learning experience. We ended up doing some micro adjustments here and there. By the time we got to the last room, we were a little dead inside, to be honest, because we were encountering so many custom little fitment pieces that had to be done, custom little things that had to be done. So we were kind of just reserved to our fates at this time. Even though they're a struggle, I actually really enjoy jobs like this because it takes some skills that I have and it forces me to learn new things or new ways to apply those skills. So even though it's a slog and even though you always underestimate how much time it's going to take. I think that it's really good to get out of your comfort zone. It's really good to push yourself. Again, using skills that you may have, talked about here on the channel often. Skill stacking, I think, is super important to everyday carry, and it's super important to everyday life. Being able to take the things that you do know, use context clues, and build bigger bases and better skills around them. And even though we were both pretty cooked by the end of this install, we had added a ton more to our skill set and understanding of how these things worked, and had a pretty good time hanging out. All right, so when did you start this morning?
8 o'clock.
That's when you start. That's when you left your house?
I left my house at 7:30. I got to the shop at 8 o'clock.
Okay, great. I started at 5, and it's now 6:46, and we installed 5 things.
5 things.
But here's the thing. I think we installed every type of material.
Yeah.
Wool, polyester, and cotton.
Other than like leather, yeah.
So like, here's the thing. If you need curtains, or what are these, curtains?
Yeah, curtains.
If you need curtains installed, we now know how to do it because we spent all day doing it 3 times.
We still might tell you no, but
Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's time for some steak.
yeah,
All right.
100%.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.
Adios.